Hi everybody, Ray Hayden here, and this video is being filmed outside, so you're going to hear wildlife and maybe people in traffic passing by. This one here is going to be about replacing a bathroom sink faucet. All right, so the very first thing we want to do is make sure we have our equipment, our safety glasses, extra flashlight, whatever, and make sure that we turn off the valves that feed the sink the water. So the house feed for the hot and the cold water, shut that off first. You're going to have a big nasty mess underneath your sink. And you really don't want that, and you definitely need to make sure that you clean everything up, dry everything up underneath that sink, because it's dark, moist, and it would be a mold situation, and you really don't want to deal with that. So in order not to, let's do it right the first time. Shut off the valves to the water, release the pressure on the water, let the water drain out through the faucet as it can, and then the rest of it's going to come out underneath the sink from these hoses. So the first thing I do is I disconnect the stopper thing, right? Well, after I've shut off the valves for the water so it doesn't leak all over the place, then I remove the hose from the bottom. I let that drain out onto a towel underneath the sink. And this is the hot water and the cold water, right, as required. And then I remove these hoses. Now this one here I needed a kind of a wrench to loosen these up because I couldn't undo them by hand, which is probably what you're going to be faced with. And you're also going to use a wrench to tighten the new one back up to make sure that it's sealed up and it's not going to leak on you. Then the only thing left up here is these plastic nuts that's what holds everything nice and tight on top of your sink. Matter of fact, that is what holds everything nice and tight on top of your sink. So you undo these, and these I could undo by hand. And then once I had these off and everything else, and this is nice and loose, I just lifted, without the hoses and everything, I just lifted this out. This other rod hanging down here connected up to the stopper for the pull stopper. Let's take a look at the new one and the new faucet. Same thing down here with that big washer down there. Same thing with the nuts, but this one here has four. It's got four big finger turns, that you can use to make it easier, like wing nuts kind of thing, but two, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these things on here, so this is easier to tighten up. And then the same thing here with the screw, or with this nut here for the hose. You have to take this nut off too, and then you put it through, and then from underneath the sink you put these things back up. Tighten these up as hard, as tight as you can without over tightening, and then put on your new hoses for your sink, and then connect everything back up. Now, before you get the water running in, before you turn the water supply back on again, there's one more thing that I'm doing here, and we got a pop-up stopper. So this particular setup came with a pop-up stopper. The center part of the stopper just pulls off, and it's got, you'll see it's a hole, right? So if you drop anything down the sink without this thing, it's going straight down into the P-trap, and hopefully if it's something valuable, piece of jewelry or something, you can still disconnect it and get it out. This sink here has a really neat accordion kind of setup. I don't know if I'll need that. This pipe might be long enough to get right down into the P-trap pipe. Either which way is perfectly fine, all right? So on this one here, there is a thing that we screw off here, and then there's this big washer, this kind of V-shaped washer. This comes off with this big nut. This goes into the top of the sink, and then this goes on, all right? And then this nut, it'll drop down. Then the nut goes on, and you start screwing it on. It has an infinite number of these tight screws here to get it nice and tight, and this needs to be real tight on here. This prevents any water from leaking out through the system and down on there. So you're going to tighten this up very tightly, as tight as you possibly can. Again, don't over tighten, but get it as tight as you can to help prevent any leaks. There's a couple of washers here. These stay on. This washer here stays on from the top. This washer here goes on from below. And these two things, everything sticks together and nice and tight, nice and safe and everything else to keep your sink cabinet underneath nice and dry. All right, so that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one here. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like the video, drop the comment below, let me know you came by to say hi. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button and join the channel. I greatly appreciate the growth on the network. And also, if you have any questions, drop that down below. I'm pretty good about getting back to them in a timely fashion. And until I catch you in the next video, take care and be well.